Hello, this is Kristen Hammer with Higher Soul Healing. I recently had, another person ask me about doing a video, an EFT video on grief as an emotion. Now, grief is intense. I've gone through a lot of that. And I just need to tell you that there's so many emotions underneath grief, and they all happen at the same time. It's the most intense, one of the most intense emotions, and emotion is really, they're feelings that we associate, we put our thoughts in there, and they become an emotion, we label them. But the actual feeling is what is important, and with grief, we can say bereavement, we can say loss, we can say anger, we can say sadness. There's so many emotions in there, and each of those emotions, there's sub-emotions, there's other levels of other feelings that are inside each one of those. So to do a video on grief is, there's so many aspects involved that I'm not going to do the full tapping sequence on one particular thing, but I'll talk about different ways that you can work with EFT. And one of them is, again, when that sense of grief comes over you. It's debilitating, and a lot of times you don't even know what to say, and you can use tapping to just talk through that. I don't have this propped up, so I can't tap while I'm holding the phone, but you can tap on the karate chop point for just a while you kind of talk about what's going on, express everything, all those emotions, just talk it out while you're tapping on that karate chop point. That's one way you can actually get the level of emotions down. But also you can do a full story and do the rounds of EFT, doing not just the setup phrase. You can even skip the setup phrase and just go right into how you're feeling, tapping on the points here. The facial points I can do, these here, and the collarbone, under the arm, it's hard to show you, and on top of the head, and just keep going through that sequence while you're expressing everything. You could scream, you can cry, probably will, and just keep going through it and keep going through it. That level of intensity that we give in the beginning of doing rounds of EFT, it's definitely going to be a 10, I'm sure. And work through that. Just go through the rounds of EFT tapping on those points while you talk about it, even if nobody's there. And get in that will come down. It'll go from a 10 down to something more workable, that you can find something in there, like it could be a 4 or a 5. We can get it down to that. And then probably what's going to happen in there, there's going to be an emotion, like an anger thing. How dare they leave me? How could they have done this? And then you can find that anger and use the setup phrase, even though I'm so angry he or she left me, I love and honor and accept myself fully. That would be your setup phrase. As I say, grief can be in so many different ways, and I made a note here of some setup phrases that could be used. One of them is, even though I can still see the life leaving her, I can still see the life leaving him. And that puts you in that moment where you visually saw them leaving. Even though this happened, I love and honor myself deeply. And you tap on that karate chop point and go into the sequence of EFT. Another one is, I am powerless to help. I was powerless in a situation. I couldn't do anything. Tap on that. Even though I feel powerless, or I felt powerless to help, I love myself deeply. Another one, even though I see his eyes, I love, honor, and accept myself. And you're putting yourself in that place where you feel that sadness. I would feel that intense sadness there, and you tap on that. Even though I hear his voice still, I love myself deeply. Even though I'm angry that they abandoned me, I feel abandoned, I love myself anyway. And one of these I wrote down is kind of hard to accept, but it's a lot of people feel this. Even though some part of me is glad it's finally over. When someone's been suffering for a long period of time and they're finally gone, it's this buildup of emotion, and part of you is glad that they're in peace, but nobody wants to accept that. Nobody wants to say, yeah, I'm so glad he's gone now, he's in peace. So you're hiding that. It's happening in there. But if you say that, even though a part of me feels that, I love myself deeply anyways. And you tap through that emotion. You feel guilty, and some guilt is another one. Even though I feel guilty, I could have done something for this person that I love so much. I love myself deeply. Even though I wasn't even expecting this wasn't supposed to happen, even though it wasn't supposed to happen, I love myself anyway. I love myself deeply. And those would be just a few of the setup phrases that you can go from there. But to get the intensity, when we just tap on grief, I'm grieving, it doesn't hit home so much. That word just doesn't hit home as much as these other phrases that I gave. But telling that story as if someone were there, or even if there is someone there, going through how it felt, what you feel now, and just tap through those points until that comes down, and then you can see what's really going on here. Tune in to the things you're seeing, the things you're hearing. Use your 5 senses of, what's happening. You're in the room with them. How do you feel? And even though I feel this, I love and accept myself deeply. So those are my tips for grief. When I do other videos, I like to feel that. At the same time, I like to show you how I work on myself and how those emotions can go. This one, again, there's so many emotions in grief, I can't exactly hit what you're dealing with.